everybody, welcome to a Wednesday edition of Box Seats. This is the show where we talk about sports with comedians. If you guys know, the comedians come in from all over the world, and they come in from doing all kinds of things. They've done films, they've done commercials, they've done everything related to sports, and now they're jumping into something we call comedy and sports talk. We have great conversations. First up is my man, Talent. Talent, how you doing, brother? How's everything?
Hey, man, I'm good, man. I'm comfortable, baby. I'm on the other side of the office today.
Yeah, it looked like it. It looked like you're real comfy. Let me bring in my man, Fig. Fig, how you doing today, brother?
Yes, sir. Better than yesterday.
That's always a good thing. And let me bring in my man, Mr. Amir Sealy. He is one of our sports connoisseurs. Amir, how you doing,
yes,
brother?
I'm good. I'm good. Good to see everybody. Salute, Kings.
Good to see everybody. Good to see everybody. Let's get this show popping. I always start the show off with talking about a COVID report, and I'm going to start out with you, Talent. Now, I just heard this morning that in soccer, Spain has now had their second player in 2 days test positive ahead of they're having a tournament called the Euro 2020. The team Sweden has had 2 players test positive. Meanwhile, in other news, the State Department has now issued a lower, and I say a lower, travel warning to Tokyo, which is, like really crazy because Tokyo has less than 4% of people in the population, less than 4% who are fully vaccinated. Talent, your thoughts?
Well, I'm gonna tell you what. I'm gonna tell you. Hold on. I'm gonna tell you what we think. We ain't going. We ain't going to Tokyo. I don't know, Frank. I thought that. I'll be honest with you. I thought that by now, a big decision would have been made. To warn a lot of people not to go to Tokyo, and hopefully got to the point where we made the decision to postpone these Olympics a few months. You know what I mean? Everything's all set up, so you don't have to postpone it a whole year. I don't even think. I think a few more months. Let's get some of this a little more in control out there, like we got it in some of these states here in the States, and then you make the decision to go ahead and revamp the games and reschedule. How many more people got to come forward and do the research to say, hey, it's looking crazy?
Yeah, I wholeheartely agree with you. Fig, what's your thoughts?
Just like Talent said, man, it's kind of crazy. Most people believe that this thing started in Wuhan, in one of the Asian countries in a lab and all that stuff like that. So why are they going? Why are you going to an Asian country? And this thing supposedly started in the Asian country. They're having cases in Japan. They have cases everywhere in these Asian countries. So why are people so fired up to go there? I don't get it, man. It just like none of this stuff is making sense to me. The one thing that I will tell you that I know for a fact, everybody in the hospital been vaccinated and they still walking around with masks on. You cannot go into a hospital in the United States if you're not wearing a mask, period.
Yeah, well, that makes perfect sense. Amir, what's your thoughts?
Again, it's the almighty dollar. Unfortunately, cash rules everything around me, as a once great rap group out of Staten Island once said. And that's really what we're looking at. This thing hasn't been shut down, not because of health reasons, not because, it's a good idea. It hasn't been shut down because, in all fairness, they're looking at the almighty dollar and their bottom line. And unfortunately, still in this country and in this world, money rules everything. And until they can figure out a way to either be compensated or, make this thing work, we're going to be up to the very last minute with them trying to figure this thing out. Count on it.
And honestly, I've been saying this part about the Olympics every day because I've been waiting for the news to drop down saying that they're going to postpone it. I know they're not going to cancel it, at least postpone it, move it. But every day they're not saying it. So every day I'm shocked and surprised because the numbers are going up and stuff is still going, people are still going. Okay, well, anyway, let's move on because yesterday I mentioned the Floyd Mayweather remarks. And I've mentioned Floyd Mayweather. I mentioned about the fight. I mentioned about the outage and stuff like that. Now, here's the thing that I want to bring up to both of you, to everybody here, especially I'm going to start with you, Talent. Floyd Mayweather said yesterday that, quote unquote, I'm handling something that's called legalized bank robbing. Because I told you guys yesterday that there's so many people who watched it. Now, Floyd Mayweather made $30 million off the sponsorship, off the patches, off of his boxing shorts alone. I haven't been able to find out how much money he made off the fight. Meanwhile, Logan Paul made $20 million from the fight. Total, that's what we know. So that's $50 million right there for the two boxers, not that we know of. And you guys still sitting there. I don't know if you guys are thinking that there's going to be a fight, a rematch or not, but the numbers came in, and Showtime's never seen such a big amount of numbers for a fight before. And this is not even a professional fight. Challenge, your thoughts?
Well, I think that's where we get it wrong, Frank. I think that this is the new professional fight. Again, we live in a social media age. I think that they figured out. First of all, he made 120 million.
Mm-hmm.
I think that they figured out that a way to get around the commission and still get it done. Like, you don't need the commission. Like Floyd, let's think about it. Do the math. He's already technically retired. So as far as the commission goes, he owes them nothing. Why would I pay any more? If I'm going to fight, it's going to be just for views and millions. And why do I need to go through them and their criterias and meet their deadlines and expectations when I can still get it done? They don't own the cameras of the world. They don't own the rings of the world. They don't own the social media of the world. And more importantly, they don't own the fans. The fans are the ones paying money to see it done. They figured out a way. That's why they call it legalized bank robbery. Figured out a way to get this money, and even more now, without them. This is the new professional fight.
Yeah, you brought up a good point. I'm gonna throw it to Fig. The WBA, WBC should be really concerned, Fig, because celebrity boxing might overtake professional boxing. It's definitely doing that in the bank accounts. You know what I mean? What's your thoughts, Fig?
Well, here's the thing. If you have followers, it started out, as far as I know, because I'm a comedian, it started out in the comedy world. Like, if you're funny and you have a lot of followers and you have a lot of views, clubs, comedy clubs, promoters, they will book you and they will pay you a lot of money, even though you're not a professional comedian. They will pay you a lot of money because at the end of the day, it's about the money. So these boxing commissions, they might be out of commission.
Okay, Amir, what's your thoughts?
You know what's so funny? I was having this conversation with my staff today, and to Talent's point about, you know, usurping the commission. Here's the real reality of it all. It's not going to affect boxing in any real way because boxing is still boxing. And for those of us who are still purists, we still want to see boxing at its best, you know, at its best and at its highest art form. But to something that Floyd Mayweather has now, you know, brought to the forefront, like you said, he's figured out a way to entertain. This is the same as watching some forms of wrestling. This is the same as watching, you know, some formats of anything that is entertainment. And the reason why this is entertaining and a lot easier for them to get away with is, again, to the point, they have followers now because, fortunately, unfortunately, the internet and all these various apps have allowed so many of us to now have followings and have people who are interested in what we do and how we do things, no matter what, whether it's crazy or something simple. The beauty of it is, it's a way for them to make money. People won't get hurt. And like I said, for those of us who are purists, though, we will still tune in when we see real sanctioned fights by the WBA, WBO, and all those other various, you know, situations. But this is just entertainment. The true measure of this will be how long will people continue to feed into this, because I watched the fight on Sunday myself and I thought it was a train wreck, but I couldn't turn away. I was like, I don't know why I can't turn this stupidity off. So that's just how it works for us now. You know?
Yeah, I agree with that. Go ahead.
And something? What if the purists, like Amir is saying, what if we're like those purists in baseball and the next generation, the younger generation, don't give a damn about the WBA and the WBC and stuff like that? What if that's just our generation that really cares? Because at the end of the day, most of these kids are on their phones anyway. I don't know if they really care about that. They just want to see some entertainment, like he said.
I think the biggest concern for the WBA and WBC is more so MMA fighting and stuff like that. I think that they got to be concerned about that type of, because that's the one that's dipping into their pockets and stuff like that. But let's keep going because we got a lot of stuff to talk about today. I want to be able to see if we can cover a lot of this stuff. The next up, man, is I know you guys have saw this news more than I did, but Gerritt Cole, pitchers for the Yankees, was asked about his substances, and he said basically after a whole lot of stuttering and stammering, he said, I don't know how to answer that. And Talent, here's a fact. He's pitching tonight, but he's lost almost 10 miles per hour on his fastball. And it's quite clear that you know exactly how to answer that. You just don't want to put yourself out there. That's the way I'm looking at it. You know what I mean? So, Talent, you tell me what you think when you hear about this, because he got caught. I don't know if he got caught red-handed, but the way he answered it sounded like, you know how when you talk to a kid and you ask a kid, the kid did something, and all that stuttering happens. That's what I'm thinking.
When a kid get caught, they go, nothing. What you doing? Nothing.
Right.
I'm doing nothing. You did something. Like, that was the most non-answer that, like, it's funny? When you get asked straight up and down questions, there's answers that people don't like. There's answers that don't really answer the question. They're evasive. And then there's just stuff you just don't say. You can't say, I don't know how to answer that. You just can't say that. And then you can't lose 10 miles per hour on your pitch, because the proof is in the pudding. If it's like steroids. If people say, hey, man, you taking steroids? Nah. Okay, we're gonna watch you this next fight. And then you're sluggish, you're slow, you can't take a punch, your muscles are depleted. Clearly, you was on steroids. So this brother here, obviously, you're doing something when you say, I can't answer that. It's a simple question to answer. I think everybody's on this guy. They're not going to let up on him. And here's the thing you got to watch out for now, the same way you had to in steroids. Whenever they crack down on anything, there has to be a sacrificial lamb and someone that we make the big example of. I think Mr. Cole here might be that example.
Yeah, I agree with that one. Fig, what's your thoughts?
The thing is, Talent really don't understand what's going on here. They said he lost 10 miles an hour on his fastball. That's the same thing his wife said. And that's why he can't answer. What are you taking? The pill is blue. And that's what I'm taking. It's a controlled substance, but it's being controlled by my doctor. He can't really tell you what it is, but if you check him, his urine might not be yellow. That's all I'm trying to tell you.
Okay, Amir, what's your thoughts?
It's always funny when anybody gets caught doing anything, and obviously they can't, or put up the ideology that they can't explain it. This situation is no different. It just is a lot funnier when it's a grown man. You know what I mean? Like Talent said, when it's a kid, you laugh your head off. But when you see a grown man doing it, you're just like, really, sir? That was the best you can come up with? You might as well, take the route of, I'm just not doing any interviews or something. But just don't get up there and say, I can't say anything. Like, really, bro? That was the best you can come up with. All the things in the world. Right. So we're going to have to, obviously wait and see, again, what the fallout of this is. And there will be some fallout, obviously. But, like we mentioned yesterday, baseball always, seems to need a pick-me-up of some sort. So, this might be the latest pick-me-up that, unfortunately, now is been brought to light. So
Vaseline's going to be a new big sponsor of Major League Baseball.
It probably will. You know what he could have said? It would have saved him. He would have just said no comment, because I'm not going to answer something like that. And nobody would have looked any different way if he just said no comment, and he had kept a straight face. But he had the guiltiest face I've seen since I caught my son climbing up on top of the refrigerator grabbing the Oreo cookies. You know what I mean? What you do grabbing the Oreo cookies? Nothing. You know what I mean?
Why you got the Oreos on top of the refrigerator, Frank?
Nothing. That's how they get caught. It's how he looked like he got caught red-handed. All right, and every now and then there's something so stupid that happens in sports. You have to say, you look at it and you have that shrug. You go, wow, that's one of the dumbest things I've seen. Here's the report. The Pirates player name is Brian Hayes. He hit a home run, Talent. He hit a home run, getting ready to jog around the bases. He does not touch first base. He goes all the way around the bases. He hits as soon as he touches home base. The umpire says, "You're out." And he looked, well, what happened? What did I do? Because you didn't touch first base. Now, mind you, he hit a home run. Talent, maybe I'm overspeaking, but what do you think about that when you hear about that?
I think that's stupid. If you hit a home run, like out of the park, the ball goes out of the park. Are we really holding people to the technicality of touching the bases? I thought that's like a formality and a good look for the game. But like if your foot actually don't touch the base, you get all the way home and you're out. Now, let me ask this question, because this is what I'm curious about. Is he out and the run don't count, or the run counts and we give you an out?
He's out and the run don't count.
Come on, man.
Wow.
Come on, bro. That that's like if a woman tell me my sex ain't no good because I pulled out.
Family show. We'll go to the Fig. Fig, what you think?
I still did what I did, though, Frank. You know what I mean? It was still a home run.
This is one of the moments where I'm going to pull out of that one and put it into this one. Fig, what you think?
Don't put it in me. No. Listen. Hey, man, listen. This is what we were talking about, man. This baseball purist type thing. I think if you hit a home run, you really even shouldn't have to run the bases. I mean, what are they gonna do? They're gonna tag you out. They can't tag you out. You hit a home run. Like that's dumb. That's dumb. Why are we even talking about this? It's ridiculous, man. Dude, I don't get it. It makes no sense to me whatsoever, man. Just because you didn't touch first base, now it's not home. There was another dude who ran around the bases. He didn't touch home, and then they made him. It was a triple instead of a home run. This stuff is just goofy, man. It don't make no sense. Here's a sport with hardly no excitement in all, and then when somebody hits a home run, now you taking away the runs. I'm like, are you trying to kill the game?
All right, let me add Amir. The sport has rules that have stood up for 130 years. But man, what do you think? Do you agree with these guys, or what's your thoughts on it?
You know, it's so crazy, Frank. To your point about, bringing up the sport has had those rules for 130 years. You know what that means. It's time to upgrade or change or delete some of them damn rules. Because to Fig's point and to Talon's point, yes, there are technicalities and so forth and so on. But again, if you smack the ball out of the park, I'm with Fig. I feel like you shouldn't even have to run. I think you should just go on back and high five everybody in the dugout, and that's that. You know what, dog? Y'all saw it. You see what I'm working with. You know what it is. All this other stuff that people are going through. You like, really? Like, and like you said, he missed a base. That's the crux of this whole situation. The excitement alone probably of hitting a home run, and he might have hit 1,000 of them in his lifetime. Who knows? But you're still excited about that whole process. If you're a kid and if you're a purist and if you're somebody who that's what you do, you're excited about the whole process. So you might forget something as simple as tagging a base, whether it's first, second, or third, or even home, like, Fig mentioned. But the point is, you're just excited about the moment. How many people can say they've hit a home run and smacked something out of a park? Not all of us can say that. Even people who play the game can't say it. So come on, really? You're going to take away his joy?
It's people in softball that can't say it. I love black people because Amir said, come on, y'all saw it.
Right, but y'all gotta remember this too, man. When you're playing a game as a professional athlete, part of the joy is when you do something. Part of that joy is when you make an accomplishment, and one of those things is hitting a home run is running around the bases. So I don't agree with taking away running around the bases, but I do agree with they need to do something with the excitement. And they ain't got to be so micromanaging. And did you touch that base? Did you touch that? I agree with that.
I think the technicality of it, Frank, is why I got a problem with it. I love the gesture because it makes the game look good. It's a moment, just the time it takes to go around the whole bases and bring it home and the dap and everything. It's a celebratory moment in baseball that's always looks dope. However, the technicality of it is where I draw the line. It's a home run. You really gonna meet this dude at home plate in the middle of this celebratory moment? I'm like,
well, the ump did call him out, but that's how it goes. That's baseball. Let's move on because I want to talk about the NBA. I definitely want to talk about the games, but something came up first before I even talk about the game. A couple of things actually. First thing is I saw the report this morning also that the NBA's had its lowest ratings in years since LeBron James has been kicked out of the playoffs. And people have been speculating that now the NBA is trying to gear towards Brooklyn versus LA Clippers NBA Finals to hopefully get the NBA ratings back up to at least where it was last year and the year before. We all know LeBron James is the pivotal moment and the pivotal reason why people watch the NBA playoff, because whether you for him or against them, you want to at least see what happens. You know what I mean? That's just the way it is. Talon, what's your thoughts on the NBA now having its lowest ratings in years? What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, the minute we get caught up in that is where the game goes to hell. I think that even some of the greatest, the game needs to be as fair as possible. And if it dips a couple of million in ratings, the game is always going to dip in ratings up and down, fluctuating because of cities. Forget LeBron, cities that may be in or out of it. Obviously, if you get let's say New York Knicks keeps going in the playoffs, it's a big ass city with a high population. That's millions and tens of millions of people more watching than may just tune it out because New York's not in it. You can't play the game or go through the playoffs worrying about the ratings. I don't think you worry about that. There's been 6, 7, 8 seasons where Jordan got kicked out of the playoffs or didn't make the playoffs, and he was the best guy in the damn league. It didn't matter because other teams were exciting, and eventually, if you love the game, like you can throw the word purist around. If you're a purist and you love the game, you're going to tune in. My team's out. I'm tuning in as much as I can still, like they are in there, because why? I love the game. The game is exciting. There's still a bunch of exciting players in the game.
Okay. All right. Fig, what's your thoughts on this?
I think at the end of the day, man, if you like basketball, you're watching because this is exciting. A lot of the games have been really competitive, going down to the wire. New teams are emerging, and it just looks good. New teams and new stars. For those people who are, Laker fans or LeBron fans, and they decided to tune out, then you're just not a basketball fan because the game is really it's exciting, and which is surprising to me because we've had big stars come and go before. You know what I mean? Magic and Bird, Michael Jordan, Drexler, Dominique. I mean, we had stars. Here's the thing. Father Time is undefeated. Eventually, these players are going away. I mean, listen, what do we have? Another year or so with LeBron James, possibly? I mean, he's in his 18th season. He's 36 years old. How long do we think LeBron James is going to be LeBron James? I mean, are you not preparing for the fact that this dude is going to retire one day? You better get a grip. Get a grip. He's not going to be here forever.
Mia, what's your thoughts?
You guys are, everything that you guys are saying is absolutely right. I think the biggest thing, and I've always said this is just me, even being a fan of the NBA. I think one of the real unfortunate caveats of the NBA is the fact that usually there is only seemingly one person crowned to be the face of the NBA. And because of that, we have what we're having right now. For anybody who hasn't had the opportunity to see a Donovan Mitchell, for anybody who hasn't had the opportunity to see a Trae Young, and, obviously some of the new up-and-coming stars of the NBA, and, only time will tell if those gentlemen will be able to sustain, that star power and, as well as maintain greatness with their teams. We have to prepare for that because at the end of the day, just like Fig said, Father Time is undefeated, one. And secondly, look, every era has to come to an end at some point. That's just the reality of it all. It doesn't make a difference whether it's guys we love or hate or whatever the case may be. That's just a plain fact. But I think where this current state of the NBA is concerned is, again, they have to do a better job of making sure that people are familiar with all of its stars, not just the one or two that they usually promote, on a normal basis. So I'm looking forward. I personally am enjoying the playoffs because I'm getting to see these new young talents. And the other thing I'll add to that is I think the real reason why we may or may not be seeing us follow these young players like we have in the past is because the older NBA that we were used to, we watched those players through college and, so forth and so on. A lot of these new players are coming on the scene based off of all kind of other ways now. Some are college, but some are just coming straight out of high school or, from various other situations. So we don't have the same vested interest in some cases where they're concerned. So we have to watch that.
All right, but the reason why I asked the question, let me make sure I kind of set you guys up. The reason why I asked the question is because I wanted to follow up with this. The NBA literally could be blaming itself for that because they paid so much attention to LeBron for the last 10 years. They did not make sure they focused on the new stars who are up and coming. Trae Young's been in the league for years. Donovan Mitchell been in the league for years. I mean, there's a lot of guys who are in the playoffs right now, been in the league for years. But everybody's been focused on LeBron James, where he goes, what he does. You know what I mean? And I think it's the NBA's fault the ratings are lowest this year. For example, talent. If the game that happened last night, I want to talk about the game last night. Donovan Mitchell puts on an amazing performance, right?
Yeah.
Amazing performance last night.
Yeah.
NBA ratings came in this morning. Hardly anybody watched. So the NBA could be mostly, at blame for that and the ratings being low because Donovan Mitchell has been putting up numbers for years. If they had shined some of the light on him, guess what? The numbers wouldn't have been so low. That's my thought. What's your thought, Talent? Talent, you're on mute.
I don't totally agree with the situation that it's the NBA's fault. I think the NBA has been doing what the NBA has been doing since the beginning. I don't think they've ever changed the format. They get the guy that becomes the face, and then there's everybody else. Regardless of who's winning championships, it's the guy who becomes the face, and then everybody else. And what they hope that happens is everybody else's kind of creates their own lane, so to speak. And I think what happened is we've seen glimmers of it, and like Amir said, people don't sustain. Their consistency level dips off. Like, for example, a couple of years ago, we watched Kawhi get a championship, and the basketball fans love Kawhi. They love him from the Spurs, and here he goes to another team. He gets a chip. So here's that lane being created, and then what happens the next year when they're expected, the Clippers put together that team, and they're expected to rock to the chip, they drop the baton.
So when the
baton gets dropped, what do? You go right back to the usual suspect.
Yeah, but it's funny you brought that up because the last time the NBA was at its lowest ratings was the year Kawhi won the NBA championship. You know what I mean? But you agree with this? You agree with Talent, what he's saying?
Well, you know what? The thing is, the funny thing about it is, I think this is going to be really strange. I think it's the Michael Jordan effect. Because guess what? When they brought in LeBron James, guess who he was supposed to be? He was supposed to be replacing Michael Jordan. And that's where when the NBA was at its height, Michael Jordan was the most exciting, polarizing player in the NBA. If you can say this guy is the next Michael Jordan, then that's what brought the excitement around LeBron James. If you think about it, all his fans talk about he's better than Jordan. He's better than Jordan. He's better than Jordan. But those of us that watch Jordan say, no, he's not. That's where your excitement comes. It's the two dynamics of saying this dude is better than Jordan or he's the next Michael Jordan. And the other guys who actually watch him are saying, yo, dude, this guy's not even close. And we're waiting to see if he's going to land at the top of the mountain or he's going to fall short. And that's the narrative that the NBA has been pushing. When he goes out, where's your next narrative? It's like Talent said, who's the next guy up? Who is the next guy that you're going to say is better than Michael Jordan or the next guy that you're going to say is better than LeBron James? Okay. I think that's what it is in a nutshell. But like the basketball purists, we love the game. We're going to watch whether LeBron is in or not.
Amir, are you agreeing with these guys? Because let me just say this real fast. When David Stern was head up of the NBA, there were several stars who were handling that mantle at the exact same time. Even though one player was better than the others, you had Bird, Magic, Jordan. You had a couple of guys who were right at the same table. When LeBron is there and now you have Adam Silver there, it's just LeBron James. Even though there are other people, but LeBron is the face of the league, so to speak, and head of everything. I mean, he's on everything, everywhere, and you didn't see the mantle shine. So when now the Lakers are out of the playoffs with LeBron, the ratings drop a lot. I mean, so I kind of don't agree with Talent and Fig in one sense. You know what I mean? What do you agree? What do you think? I mean, what's your thoughts?
Well, like I said, in my previous statement, again, I think one of the, real caveats is the league as a whole has a tremendous amount of stars. There's no two ways about it. Look, if you don't think Joker's a star, if you don't think Doncic is a star, if you don't think, like you said, Trae Young, Donovan Mitchell, if you don't think all of these gentlemen are stars and are, like I said, official guys, Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, James Harden, the list goes on and on and on. But the point is, where is the consistency? The real reason why, to to Fig and to Talent's point is when you look at LeBron, like I said, whether you love him or hate him, even to the point that, you know, Fig is saying, you know, this, that, the third, the man has been to 9 finals. He's been to 9 finals, y'all. Look, y'all we could talk all of whether he was great or whatever, 10, 9, whatever. My point is this, though. Having gone to that many finals, we know other great players who may have gone to 1 or 2. The dude's been to 9. So where's the keyword is consistency? So when you have this new set of players who, and again, there's no disrespect to the new generation, but look at the Kevin Durant's, look at the Steph Curry's. I forgot to mention Steph Curry. These guys are injured. They haven't been able to sustain even, you know, during their careers and all that stuff. So I think that, I think that's where we're running into this, you know, that was this problem. You know what I mean? So
you just made my point with the Kevin Durant injury. The perfect example, Frank, is like what I was saying was you have these glimmers, right, of hope, and you want to give these guys a lane, but lack of consistency shuts that lane down. 2 years ago, this month, 2 years ago is when the last great ball we've seen from Kevin Durant. The injury sidelined him. It's been 2 years. So even at that moment, people forget at the height, at that moment 2 years ago, before the injury on Golden State, when he whooped LeBron's ass, people had to admit he was a slightly better player at that moment than LeBron because he did that mano-a-mano. However, just as you're ready to share the baton or pass a little bit of the baton or pixie dust, so to speak, he gets taken out of the game altogether. So you got to go back to Old Faithful, to the front page.
All right, let's continue on with the conversation because I brought it up because last night I saw a game. I know we all saw the game. Well, I'm hoping we all saw the game. Utah and Clippers, LA Clippers was an excellent game. It was the best game of the night and everything. And honestly, Donovan Mitchell put on a performance that's going to go down in NBA history. One of the best performances, second half performances that you've seen in a while, especially getting, you know, trying to snatch a game 1 at home and everything else like that. So let me ask you, what's your game reaction, Talent, after you saw the game? Because a lot of things popped up in my mind while I was watching the game, but I want to hear what you guys say first. What's your thoughts, Talent?
Well, first of all, this is a very trying series for me. I'm so proud of this young man, be that he comes from my area. I'm torn in this thing. I'm a big Kawhi fan. I wouldn't mind seeing either team pull this one out. Maybe, you know, the Clippers a little more just because of last year. But this young man, again, his consistency of growing and leaping bounds and bounds to prove his point to the league, to create his own league. The only thing that's staying this man way is injuries. This young brother right here, we're going to have to, at the end of this season, going into next season, we're going to have to, like to Amir's point, we're going to have to shine some high beams on some of these players, like the Jokers, you know, like the Mitchells, and just accept the fact that they're here and they are the future superstars. I love this game last night.
I did too. Fig, your thoughts?
Game was all world last night. Came down to the last second shot. Defensive player of the year makes a defensive play to win the game for his team. I mean, what more can you ask for if you're an NBA fan? Donovan Mitchell has arrived. He was on the scene last year. Clearly, they didn't make it out. Got beat out last year, but this year is different. You know, he's more mature. He's got his game together. Well, his game was together last year too, man. Donovan Mitchell is a superstar, man. I mean, let's just call it what it is. This kid came into the league knocking down shots that we haven't seen, taking the ball to the hole. Like, he does everything, plays defense. Here's the thing. What is exciting is they only won by 3 points and they were at home. And we know that the Clippers just came off a 7-game series, so maybe they had a little letdown. I can't wait to see the next game, you know what I mean, to see what the Clippers do against these guys because they seem like they're evenly matched, and that's what makes it exciting.
Amir, your thoughts?
First of all, last night's game and Donovan Mitchell, like I said, what a show. Here's what I find fun, and this is what I'm excited about. Again, this is why I said we have to do a better job of promoting the entire league. We talk about how great Kawhi Leonard is. We talk about how great the Clippers organization is and what those guys are not able to do. And Game 7 is draining and it's mental and so forth and so on. But let's be clear. Let's think about this. Doncic gave him 46. Donovan Mitchell turned around and gave him 45. So for all of the, we don't get enough scoring in the league, we don't have enough superstars, 46 and 45. I want y'all to remember those numbers. But the point is, we're looking at, again, the future. We're looking at all of the new guys who can run with the mantle, take the baton, and take these organizations and give us the opportunity to see some new life and some new blood. Now, it's going to take a minute for us to catch up as fans because, to a point made earlier, your biggest cities always have more people who are vested or whatever. But the reality of it all is we got to start giving these guys they just do because they are putting on a show. There is no two ways about it. If you watched that game last night and you didn't come away feeling like you saw a phenomenal game, then you're not a basketball fan. That's the honest to God truth.
Yeah, I would have to agree with you with that point, especially with the fact being that the last thing you said, if you didn't come away like, I mean, you know, honestly, man, if you just like basketball a little bit, that was a great game. I want to talk about the other game because it's going to lead into something else I want to talk about. The Sixers played the Hawks last night. Another good game. But before I I'm going to give my game reaction right now. I'm not impressed by Philadelphia, man. I mean, even though Philly looked good in certain extents and everything else, I'm just not impressed by Philadelphia, even though they had a so-called, as the commentators call it, an impressive win, and they did this and everything else. Joel Embiid is a fraction of a groin injury away from them losing the entire series, in my opinion. You know what I mean? He's the focal point of almost all their scoring. He's already playing on one leg. If he gets injured, they're out of it, and the Hawks didn't advance. So my problem with watching them play was that their whole team and structure went through one player versus the team moving the ball around and everything else. That was my thought. But your game reactions talent when you saw the Sixers play the Hawks. What's your thoughts?
First of all, he's soft. He's soft. I said it all year. I'm going to continue to say it. It's just a matter of time where I just don't see him going the distance, man. I will give Philadelphia 76ers credit on one thing. They're probably the best team I've seen this year. They look the best in the headbands. The white headbands look very nice. You can't be laughing, but come on, they look really good. Like some average guy will come off the bench with a headband, and I'll be like, yo, he look dope, who that? And it'd be nobody, but I'd be like, okay. I'm like, they look good though. They look good. The game was not that entertaining to me. I think Philly did what they should have did in game one. I still think the fact that you gave up that first home game is going to make this series super interesting because you got to, for lack of a better word, that's a cocky young team in Atlanta Hawks.
Yeah.
We haven't seen a young team like this. Through their facial expressions, they talk more ish than a little bit. Every little thing that goes on in the game, somebody doing this. You know what I'm saying?
You ain't never lied to you.
Yo, for some reason, this young team, every little thing, it could be a tech, it could be a ball going out of bounds, a missed call. It's going to be 2 or 3 Hawks walking around like this. I'd be like, oh. Like even Trae Young, who starts off with a good haircut, and by the third quarter, he looked like stage 4 Dragon Ball Z. I don't know what kind of perm that is, but I know one thing. When he flies by you, all you see is the back of that head.
Yeah.
Fig, what's your thoughts, bro?
Trey is balding. Trey is balding. Yo, man, it's hilarious. Let me tell you something, man. To your point, Frank, if you take one of the 2 top players off of any team, they're going to struggle. So if you lose Joel Embiid, yeah, he's the best player on the team. You take the best player off of any team, and I guarantee you, they're not as good because that guy usually makes things go. If I take Donovan Mitchell, you know, off of that team, they're not going to be any good. So, I mean, it goes to say, Trae Young, you take him out. I don't think Atlanta wins. You know what I mean? He's running the team. I think the Sixers figured out a way to slow this guy down. And and I was saying that I wanted the Knicks to do the exact same thing. If you cut off the head of the snake, you're able to beat that particular team. If you take Trae Young out of the mix or slow him down significantly, if he doesn't get 30 points a game, you can stop that team. If you limit him to jump shots, you can stop that team. They're beatable. It's seemingly, I hate to say this because I love Donovan Mitchell. If you could stop Donovan Mitchell or slow him down, double team him, make somebody else beat you other than the best player on the team, your chances of winning goes up significantly. I think Doc Rivers and the Philadelphia 76ers figured out how to limit Trae Young's effectiveness.
I mean, your thoughts?
I think yesterday it was, to Talon's point about them being such a young team, I think really what we saw yesterday was youth. As I watched that game, really what came to mind was they were rushing. They were trying to overcompensate in my opinion, because they had already got one win in. And, usually when you go play in somebody else's house, especially, during the playoffs, your whole purpose is to, try to steal one of the games, if not both of them. And yesterday, as I watched the game unfold, I thought that they were trying too hard instead of allowing the game to come to them, because a lot of the shots that they missed were the same wide open looks they had in the first game. But I could see the anxiousness in them. I could see them, trying to do too much, trying to, overcompensate. Slow down. Let the game come to you. To your point about the Sixers not being as formidable as, so many of us, feel or think that they are. The fact that Embiid, again, has to work as hard as he does. But I'll tell you something that I was impressed with yesterday. Tobias Harris was balling as well. And I think that was had a major impact on why the game went so well for them yesterday, because he came to play yesterday. And I think that took some of the pressure off of Embiid early and allowed him to get into a flow and get into the game. So, like I said, I'm looking forward to that series. I'm happy for both of those teams. I'm looking forward to those Atlanta Hawks because they're young and they're hungry. And there's nothing like seeing the young Thundercats come out and bring that energy.
Yo, Amir, let's give some flowers to Shake Milton, because that kid came off the bench and lit it up.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
I loved it all. I loved it all. But I guess my point I was trying to make is that I wasn't as impressed with the Philadelphia Hawks series as I am with the Utah and the Clippers series. You know what I mean? I think that was just the point I'm trying to make. I want to, before I move on, I want to throw a little tidbit out here. I also I saw on a couple of trade websites and everything else, Bradley Beal is out there, bro. There's a huge rumor that Bradley Beal is going to get traded, but also Bradley Beal is trying his best to stay and recruit players. So if Bradley Beal stays, who you think is going to want to go down to and play with him? Because there's a couple of great free agents out there. Russell Westbrook is not going to probably be there at the start of next season. So, Talon, what's your thoughts on hearing about the Wizards situation with Bradley Beal right now? Even though we discussed it, because there's a lot of rumors out there of him staying and going, lots. So I'm not even sure what to take of this whole thing myself. I'm up in the air with this. What's your thoughts?
Or Bradley Beal better get the hell out of there while you can.
Yeah, right.
I wouldn't stay there and recruit nobody. That's not the city right now, and they're not in a position to do that. I would get the hell out of there while I can, while the getting's good. Let them start over fresh with their rebuilding process. Like you said, Westbrook's out of there. You don't want to be there recruiting and trying to put together. You're in what you call the medium of your career. You want to take those years and go be beneficial as possible to a contender if you can. There's a handful of contenders that he will look sweet on that can use him. We were just talking about. I was just talking about the same situation, but with a Damian Lillard. I don't think he's going nowhere. He's going to be trying to do that. Go play with some other stars, and take your talents to other beaches.
I agree with that one. Fig, what's your thoughts?
I'd love to see Bradley Beal and Damian Lillard in the Twin Cities. No, I'm just in New York. Hey, man, listen. The funny thing is, how do you recruit somebody to come to a team that's the equivalent of the Titanic? It's just like, yo, man, you want to take a cruise? We getting on the Titanic. Yo, that ship is sinking. That's the same city that had an insurrection at the Capitol. Ain't Ain't nobody going there. I mean, I hate to say it. Yo, did they just attack the Capitol and you're gonna invite who to come and bring their family there? Did you see what those people were carrying? Did you see the flag? They was trying to hang the vice president of the United States of America. Who is going to that team? You better get out of there, Bradley, before they start looking for you next. Get out of there while you can, Bradley.
Amir,
we'll look out for you.
Amir, what's your thoughts?
Yo, that Fig, first of all, that is hilarious, sir. You are retarded for that. But you know what? I think to everybody's point, I think Bradley Beal, definitely needs to step away and allow that organization to, really again start from the ground up. He's given them, a tremendous amount of good years. He's done the best that he could for the city. Even Westbrook coming in, trying to do what they could to, obviously hold the ship down. Let's be honest. Washington as a whole, I guess that city probably hasn't been good since West Unseld or some shit like that. And I'm pardon me for cursing, but that was probably the last time we were mentioning them in any real basketball way. So you just gonna have to let the process go and be what it's supposed to be. But I think he has, like you said, he has an opportunity to get to some team where he could definitely be beneficial and play for a chip. Every player in the world plays every sport or does everything in order to hopefully at some point get what we perceive to be a championship. That's just the reality of it all.
All right, the next topic I want to talk about, the news came on while we were on the air just now, is that the Indiana Pacers fired their head coach. His name is Nate Georgian, after one season. The funny thing is this is the same coach they hired after they fired Nate McMillan. Now, if you're an Indiana Pacers fan right now, you got to be pretty pissed off because you had a great head coach, and now look what he's doing for the Hawks right now. I'm not even going to bring in the color scheme of everything. I'm not even going to say, they got rid of him. I mean, that's so obvious, it's ridiculous. But if you're an Indiana Pacers fan right now and you ain't pissed off, then you're not a true fan. Because right now, talent, if I'm them, I am extremely pissed right now. Like, really?
No, you ain't got to bring up the color scheme. Let's leave that for Fig. But forget if you're a fan. If you Nate McMillan, you pissed. You like, y'all could have just told me that little extra change.
Yeah.
That year that y'all wasted right there. Y'all could have gave me that as a parting gift.
Right.
One and done. Yeah, but I think that's another team, brother, that soon as Paul George was out of there, I thought that team was in a disarray too. The Pacers are no different than what we were just talking about with the Wizards. That's another team in a disarray. That's a team that needs to start, in the next 2-3 seasons, their rebuild process. You know what I mean? The good thing about rebuilding nowadays, it don't take nearly as long as it used to. Rebuilding the NBA team before, man, was just under damn near a decade. Talking 6, 7, 8 seasons. Now you can rebuild a team in, depending on how much money you got, 2 or 3 seasons.
Right. Fig, I'm going to throw it to you and say this. The Indiana Pacers under Nate McMillan went to the playoffs 4, maybe 5 straight years. One year they don't have Nate McMillan. Hey, guess what? They sit at home watching the NBA playoffs. What's your thoughts, Fig?
When it comes to basketball, always been on the black. They're going to let him not get rid of Nate McMillan. There's only so much a coach can do without players. You let go to Paul George. You got rid of Victor Oladipo. I'm like, yo, man, come on. How you going to win without players? Here's the thing. It's a star-driven league. Not star as in Hollywood, but star on the court. You need talent in order to win. Here's case in point. You take Nate McMillan, you put him in Atlanta a half a season, he turns their whole program around. Why? Because they have talent, and you just needed somebody to put them in the right position to be able to win. When the Knicks were beating Atlanta during the regular season, they had a different coach. The team that beat the Knicks in the playoffs had Nate McMillan. He's a better coach, and he took advantage of their talent. They had a better talented team. It just is what it is, man. It's crazy. The problem that they're going to have in Indiana, it's a small market. Like, who wakes up and says, you know what I want to do? I want to go to Indiana.
Yeah.
Really?
Nobody.
Like, not never.
Nobody's gonna say that. Amir, you look like you got the last word, bro. What's your thoughts?
Well, you know, for me, you know, obviously this one is probably right up my alley. You know, that was the team that drafted my brother, you know, into the league. And I remember those years with Reggie Miller and Dan LaTramp and, you know, various other players. So that probably was the last time, you know, where that team technically was, you know, very much relevant. No disrespect to Paul George and the players that came after that. But again, it's one of those teams that, you know, as Fig just said, is, you know, is in one of those weird markets where there's not enough energy, there's not enough things for people to be engaged, you know, about. And they have to find somebody who can come in and bring that. And the only way you can bring that is, you know, you got to find that kind of superstar, the kind of player who the whole city gets behind, the entire town gets behind, and even the players that eventually, the players that are either there or the players that will eventually come to the city. And it's been a minute since they've, you know, had that kind of energy, you know, for that city. Reggie Miller was the last to, you know, kind of be that guy for that city. So, you know, it's going to be a minute, you know, probably before we see that again. And that is, again, pending, you know, what we see going on with college, pending what we see going on with these new players that are coming into the league. So I'm hoping the best for that city because, again, like I said, they hold a special place in my heart, you know, because of my brother's connection there.
Right. And finally, I'll just leave it at this. Ain't no, like what Fig said, ain't nobody going to want to go to Indiana, especially now after what happened, unless they get a great head coach like a Jason Kidd or something like that, or Chauncey Billups. That's the only thing that's going to turn them around for people to want to go. Because
correction. There are exceptions to the rule where you will want to go to Indiana. If, like Mike Epps or Cookout, I'm going.
Yeah, but you ain't staying. That's the problem. You ain't staying. And so we talk about going and staying. You got to move your family there. That's what we talk about. Talent.
Yeah, that's a visiting destination.
Yeah. Talent. Everybody out there, how they can follow you, bro. We got to wrap it up out of here.
Hey, follow your boy on all platforms. Twitter, I'm at It's Just Comedy. Instagram, Talent the Comedian, and on Facebook, King Talent Harris.
I don't know who you're talking to, Talent, but I sure hope it ain't the dog that you keep turning to look at that.
Yeah, it's a dog.
It is.
Ain't no one. You know where I live, Frank. It ain't no one dog.
Well, that's true. I forgot.
So they be having their own conversation. Like when we say something, they don't agree with it. Some pop off. I don't know.
See? Yeah, I see that. Fake. Tell everybody out there how they can follow you.
I agree with the dogs. Anyway, you can follow me on all social media platforms at Comedian Fig. And you know, I'm here Monday through Friday, 1 to 2 p.m. on the box seats. This is the best damn sports show on TV. The dogs will tell you. Go on, Talent. Let the dog tell you. Because we got the dogs.
Amir, how can they follow you? And first of all, let me say thank you to Amir. He's always filling in for us. I really greatly appreciate you, bro. Whether it's for you follow people, you fill in for whether it's Talent, whether you fill in for Fig or Rodney Perry. Now it's Rodney Perry because he's filming. So, Amir, I really, really thank you, brother. I just want to say that. Thank you, bro. I appreciate you.
Like I said, man, everybody can follow me at A-Rock Sealy on Instagram, AROCKSEALY. And like I said, on Facebook, I'm just plain old Amir Sealy. But as always, I thank you, gentlemen, for allowing me to get on here and rap with you guys and talk sports. So salute as always, gentlemen. I appreciate it.
It's always great commentary. I want to thank Amir for joining the show today, sitting in for Rodney Perry. I got to thank Fig. I got to thank Talent. You guys know what the show is. If you don't, it's called Box Seats. It's on the channel called The Humor Mill. Tell a friend to download the channel and all that. We'll see y'all tomorrow. Tomorrow we're supposed to have a guest. I got to talk to him, see if he can make it. I don't even want to say his name just yet because you know how people are today. Yeah, I can make it. And tomorrow, I can't make it. That's happening so much. I don't even promote this thing anymore. Y'all, that's the show, man. We'll see y'all tomorrow, 1 o'clock. Peace.